You're entering the future-ready CNBC TV 18 EBIX Cash Studio.
Hello and welcome to Money, 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 your weekly personal finance date with me, Surabhi Upadhyay. Now, we've all heard experts say that term insurance is the simplest and purest form of life insurance that perhaps all of us need to have to provide cover and protection for our dependents. Now that is something which is market wisdom widely accepted. It is wisdom across the personal finance circles that is widely known. We thought today we'll do a classroom on life insurance, but not term insurance. Look at all the other types of insurance policies out there and then ask the basic question whether you should consider any form of market-linked policies or traditional plans, as they're called, at all when it comes to your insurance and investment needs. Well, our guests on the show are Rahul Agrawal. Rahul is the CEO at Ideal Insurance, and Harshvardhan Rungta, who is a personal finance expert, and he's from Rungta Securities. He will also join in. Gentlemen, thanks for joining in. It's an interesting subject, Rahul, and that's why I'm going to start with this. You know, term insurance we're not discussing because that's a great pure form of insurance, which, as I said, we perhaps all of us need. Let me start by throwing a broad question open at you that, you know, when it comes to non-term, should we even consider these type of policies? Rahul, that question is for you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, you'll have to repeat.
Yes. So I was saying that, you know, since the mandate of this show is to discuss non-term life insurance, my first question is, should we even look at that category? And then let's take it step by step. Let's talk about what these traditional plans are when we speak of non-term life insurance.
Okay. So thank you, Surabhi, for having me here. Good afternoon to you and all the viewers. Term insurance has only become popular in India in the last 5 to 10 years. Okay. Before that, no one knew about term insurance. Yeah, it's good that now people are aware about term insurance. So now before term insurance, what people used to buy the traditional plans, right, which were endowment, money back, which were primarily savings driven, right, with lesser of cover. But the main idea was savings and tax benefit. And then, of course, the ULIPs, which became popular in the 2000 to 2010, and which again went out of flavor because of the very high charges. But again, now back into flavor because of the reduced charges, right? So, you know, so till last 50, 60 years, people have been buying endowment, money back, and whole life policies, which are primarily savings driven. Some have lesser component of savings, some have higher component of savings. So they're all basically a different mix of savings and tax benefit and the risk cover as well.
Okay. So can you give us some more detail? I mean, you mentioned there's a money back policy, a whole life, an endowment policy. Basically, are these all types of traditional plans? And what is the difference in each of the categories then?
So they are all different types of traditional plans, okay, as I said, which offer savings and risk cover. Now, depending on the proportion of savings amount and the risk cover amount, these three products are there. So money back is a product which has the highest savings and the least component of risk cover. Then comes endowment, which has about 50% of savings and 50% of risk cover. And the least is whole life, where the risk cover is more and the savings portion is lower. So these are basically very similar plans, just that the proportion of savings and risk cover is different in these plans.
Okay, fair enough. I think we also have Harsh joining in. Slight trouble with, I think, the lines over there. So we'll have Harsh on the phone for a bit. Harsh, your thoughts, whether one should even consider non-term life insurance? And then among the traditional plans that we've been discussing, does any one of these products, endowment, you know, whole life, any of them make sense to you?
Well, Surabhi, I am hopeful that you're able to hear me at least. If you cannot see me there. So now, you know, talking about the different kinds of policies, yes, you know, as we know and we've understood that one is, of course, term plans, the pure protection plan, or the critical illness for that matter. And on the other hand, the savings and investment oriented policy, which would be classified into three parts, essentially would be an endowment kind of a policy, a money back, and a whole life. So if you were to just put everything together, I mean, endowment essentially is that a payout is made at one lump sum at the end of the maturity of the policy. the money back would give a policy holder returns every possibly 5 years. So every 5 years until maturity, you get regular intervals, you get payments out. And in a whole life policy, the payment is made after the demise of the policy holder. This essentially is, some people plan it towards their legacy. Now, I would like to just, take this a little further by explaining how products are designed. So, having understood that, we will be in a better position to see whether a policyholder or an insured needs to buy into investment-oriented policies. So, let me take the example of one of the most popular products of LIC that offers is Jeevan Anand policy. I mean, it's one of the popular policies that LIC offers. Now, this policy is nothing but a combination of a term plan, endowment, and a whole life. So, we put all of these together. What this policy does is, in case of demise during the policy period, the policyholder the nominee gets the sum insured plus the bonuses. So that's a term plan essentially put into this. On maturity of the policy, the premiums cease. There is no premium to be paid henceforth, and the maturity proceeds are given to the policyholder. And the life cover continues beyond that. Post the demise after the maturity of the policy, the nominee gets the sum insured once again, which is nothing but a whole life plan. So all insurance companies will essentially design products which are combination of different types of savings plans, which is endowment, whole life, and money back, and then put it to the investor or the policyholder to decide what they want. Now, answering your query as to which kind of policy will be most appropriate, we've understood this over a period of time now that any investment-oriented policy will not give you a return which is more than inflation. So it will not beat inflation in any case. The returns that we estimate that these policies will give would be, if I'm talking about the traditional conventional policies, not the ULIP, would be in the range of about 4 to 5%, which does not beat inflation. However, if a person still needs to invest into investment-oriented policies, then I guess one combination that works well, one feature-packed product, as I mentioned, on the traditional platform, as well as on the ULIP, will be a children's plan. This is one such plan that a person can opt for and look into, though the returns will be lower. But it's designed in such a manner that it's for the benefit of the child, of course, in the first place, as the word says, children's plan. It is designed in such a manner that the child benefits and the parent being insured.
Okay, so look at a child plan. If at all you need to look at traditional policies, that's Harsh's view. Rahul, let me come to you. Same question. You told us about the 3 types of these traditional plans. Which one to look at? What is the kind of return to expect? And one more question here. We keep hearing this term, PAR policies and non-PAR, participating and non-participating. Can you explain how this works?
Let me first answer the first question, and I have a little different view compared to hers. So what we feel is that everyone must invest a certain portion of their savings in insurance. It could be 5%, 10%, 15%, because insurance companies still offer about 6% return, which may not be great, but now if you compare it with the FD and other products, you're getting almost 6% safe return along with some risk cover and tax-free returns. Now, one great thing about investing in life insurance is the only product where you invest in a disciplined manner over 15 to 20 years. Right? People, if they're investing in mutual fund, they have a tendency to take out money if it is growing or if it is degrowing, either way. Life insurance is one of the only products where people invest in a very disciplined manner, and for long-term capital building, life insurance is the best. Right? So I would not say you invest a lot of money, but yes, it should definitely be a part of your portfolio purely from a long-term planning. It could be for your kids, it could be for your retirement, or it could be just purely savings. Right? So yes, that's one of the great things about life insurance nowadays. Now coming to PAR and non-PAR. So basically, PAR policies are policies which participate in the investment pool of the insurance company. Okay, now the premiums that go to insurance company, they invest it in government securities, some into share market, a little bit into share market, and other same products. Non-PAR policies are fixed guaranteed return policies which does not have to do anything with the investment of the insurance companies. Now, I would suggest to go for non-PAR policies because there are some good non-PAR policies which are offering as much as 6% guaranteed return over the next 20-25 years. Now, 6% guaranteed IRR for the next 25 years is a fantastic return in India today. Okay, so but yes, people younger people who can take a little risk and who are bullish about the Indian economy, they can go for non-par. But my personal pick would be par policies because they're offering 6% the guaranteed return right now.
Okay, so you're saying go for par policies with a guarantee.
Non-par policies.
Non-par, exactly. So non-par with a guaranteed return of around 6%, Rahul. If I were to opt for a par policy, a participating policy, this is a traditional plan, which means primarily the investments are going in the fixed income market. Then what's the average return that one can look at on this side of the investment? I mean, not the entire premium obviously is invested, but what's the return that I can look at?
So if you go for par policies, the returns could be anywhere between 5 to 7% for the traditional plans. And in ULIPs, again, it totally depends on the market. And in ULIPs, it can be 10%, 12% as well.
Yeah. ULIPs, they are a completely different animal altogether. And in fact,
Yes.
we'll take a break and discuss that side of the life insurance sector's offering ULIPs, unit-linked insurance plans. Have they become better with the reduction in charges? Should you look at them? If yes, what kind of products? The conversation continues. Welcome back. You're with us on Money, 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 and we're discussing life insurance, but not term plans, everything non-term, and whether you should consider some of the offerings that the insurance world has. Let's come to ULIPs now, unit-linked insurance plans, and our, of course, guests are with us, Rahul as well as Harshvardhan Rungta. Now, gentlemen, ULIPs had a very bad name, right, in the market about 7-8 years back. Since then, charges have dropped dramatically. There is still some added tax advantage, though, of course, the previous budget did take away a lot of that under Section 80C. But Rahul, what would you say? I mean, would you look at ULIPs? If yes, what type, what category, and what kind of products?
So I still maintain my stand. I still don't look at ULIPs if you're going for safe investments, because my logic is very simple. Despite the reduction in charges, which has come down to about 10-12%, why not still go for just mutual funds where the charges are 1.5-2% and buy a separate term insurance? That gives you more flexibility and you have a better say on the money movement. Okay, the funds that you are using, or if you want to make switches, it is much more easier to have a direct mutual fund rather than going for ULIP.
Okay, fair enough.
And of course, just to add, this is my personal opinion that, of course, the big mutual fund companies, their fund management will always be much better, right? Because that's their business.
Okay. Well, so that's a complete thumbs down when it comes to looking at ULIPs purely from an investment standpoint. Harshvardhan, your thoughts? And also just describe the product a little bit. It does come with, some insurance cover. I think it's 10 times the premium. But can someone look at, let's say, bundling a term plan together with a ULIP, saying, okay, anyway, the term plan takes care of my insurance needs, and ULIP will do some bit of investing for me as well?
Well, Shruti, what does a ULIP do? It's nothing but a term plan and a mutual fund combined together. So, because it's an insurance product, there has to be some bit of cover in it. So, any premium that you pay, the insurance cover will be 10 times of the premium that you contribute. Now, the distinct advantage that ULIP has is that, all the returns or the gains that you make out of ULIP policies or any insurance policy for that matter is tax exempt, subject to fulfillment of certain criteria. So, assuming those criteria are fulfilled, the gains that you will make in a ULIP policy is tax exempt when you compare it with a mutual fund unit, which is either a long-term or a short-term capital gain. So, if you strictly comparing ULIP, which has a lock-in period of 5 years, with a 5-year mutual fund, all the gains that you make in mutual funds will be taxable as long-term capital gains, whereas in ULIP it is tax-free. So this is the unfortunate differentiation between the two, which I believe over a period of time should get plugged. But answering your query whether a person could look at ULIPs, well, if you were to ignore the tax advantage that ULIPs have, I would certainly feel that investing into pure investment products will be far more better in terms of flexibility, in terms of the choices that an investor would have. And just for the pure requirements of life cover, you buy a term plan. So that is most certainly a better way to go about doing things, because even if ULIP, as you said, the charges have come down considerably, yet there are charges which are like in the form of a premium allocation charge, which over a period of time, over say a 5-year premium payment term, works out to be 10 to 15%. over and above that, you will have to pay the mortality charges, which are the life cover charges. Now, you may not require a life cover. You may, and if it's a ULIP, you still have to pay for it. Then there are admin charges which are debited from your account. So there are a few other charges which are not so the case with mutual funds. So I would recommend, unless you are looking at the long-term capital gains being tax exempt in ULIP, there is no distinct advantage in my view to go for ULIPs.
Yeah, and I guess even on long-term capital gains exemption now above 2.5 lakhs, if the premium is more than 2.5 lakhs, you don't have that exemption available anymore after Budget 21. Okay, so that's all about ULIPs. Now, let me ask you, gentlemen, about something that I came across once I walked into a bank. There was a strong pitch being made, Rahul, towards an insurance product as an alternative to a fixed deposit. I was told that, okay, this is not going to take care of your pure protection needs, but do consider this as a very smart product versus a fixed deposit, which is very tax inefficient. I'm not sure what product this is, what category it falls under, and should one really consider it? It seemed too good to be true.
So there are some good products which are there right now, Surbhi, as I mentioned earlier also. There are a few products which are giving you about average 6% IRR over a period of 20 to 25 years. Now, if you, of course, compare those products, so there's a product from HDFC, I think called HDFC Sanchay, and one from ICICI Guaranteed Income, and I think one from Bajaj Allianz Life Insurance. Now, if you compare that with FD, so 6% guaranteed IRR is a wonderful return, and that also they're offering for the next 20-25 years, okay? Along with risk cover and with tax benefit. In FD, you're taxable also, and you're not getting risk cover. So on all those counts, of course, these products are good products. The only flip side is that you're logged in those products for 20-25 years, right? So as I said, you should only come to insurance if your time horizon is minimum 15 to 20 years. There is an FD, they're for much shorter term. Right? But yes, if anyone has a time horizon which is 15-20 years, you must definitely go for those products.
Oh, so that's quite a damp, no? I mean, a complete lock-in, of course, for 15 to 20 years, you said, Rahul, and these are what? These are typically, type of endowment plans, is it? With a guaranteed rate of return?
Yes. So they're non-par plans, typical endowment non-par plans, guaranteed return. Whatever the insurance company needs does not matter, they will give you 6% return.
Okay, got that. Harshvardhan, your view, I mean, that lock-in kind of makes you uncomfortable with the FDs. What you get is very easy liquidity, though, of course, they're very inefficient when it comes to taxation. So would you consider this offering from the life insurance space at all?
Well, Surbhi, these fixed deposits and non-par guaranteed endowment plans are totally different products, actually. Now, they cannot be compared with each other because of the liquidity that a fixed deposit offers. Is it different, entirely different from, this non-par guaranteed insurance policies. Now, unfortunately, bank employees have been burdened with, huge targets, and they have to sell and they wish to sell insurances because the bank earns a lot of commission on these products. Now, I wouldn't imagine a situation where I walk into a branch, and I want a fixed deposit being the primary business of a bank. They want to convince me to buy something else which is based on commission, leaving aside the primary business of banking products. So, I would suggest that you take any suggestions given by, overzealous and overburdened, employees with a pinch of salt, and do go into the details, because even these guarantee products that we're talking about actually is a 20-25 year, cash flow product. When you don't get your, your principal also back in lump sum, you will get it over a period of installment. So Sanchay Plus, for example, gives you payouts every year, post 12 years that you pay. There are different kind of combinations. So I don't think they're strictly comparable. The fact given to you saying that these are better in term when compared to fixed deposits is not the right argument, because the features are totally different.
Okay, fair point. I think one needs to look at a lot of these aspects very carefully. Liquidity, at what time do you get the money back? Do you have that kind of holding appetite? Are you blocking in your funds? What about your emergency corpus? All of that needs to be discussed and debated before anyone opts for these plans. I guess that's a valid point. Which brings me to the final question.
Sorry, I'll just, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'll just add one very important point.
Yeah.
Where, a lot of customers are gullible, and just to add, and just to, confirm to what Harsh said, that a lot of mis-selling happens here, because I missed out one point, that when people go for an FD theft is normally done once, okay? But these bank people, and we have come across hundreds of cases that they sell an insurance showing the better returns and everything, but they don't tell that they have to pay for the next 20 years, right? Most customers, next year when the payment again comes, they realize that it's not an FD, it's insurance, and they have to pay for the next 20 years. If it is a one-time payment, there is insurance, you have to pay for 15, 20 years.
Yeah. So read the fine print very carefully before you sign on anything. Gentlemen, that brings me to the final question of the day, and that is really what to look at. So summing all of this up, and the fact that one needs to be careful if one is to look at non-term insurance, whether it's ULIPs or traditional plans, what product can you look at, if at all? Rahul, if you could take maybe one or two names as well, if you have any recommendations.
So I'll repeat, my bet is on the guaranteed return products. 6% is a wonderful IRR, and there are multiple payouts. As Harsh said, some companies where you have to pay for 20 years and you get an installment. Some companies you get in lump sum. So that more depends on how your payout and paying you want. But I would bet on the guaranteed products like SDFC, Sanchay Plus, and then there's the ICICI Prudential Guaranteed Income, and there's the Bajaj Guaranteed Income Gold. Right, so these three are good. And there's one more product in Edelweiss, I'm forgetting the name. Right, so these companies are offering good IRR, guaranteed IRR products. My bet would be on them.
Okay, Harsh, any product for you, or is it a total no-go, non-term life insurance?
Ideally a no-go, but I would again reiterate that I like a feature-packed product, which is a children's plan offered by insurance company. Now, these plans actually, have an inbuilt feature of dual payments. They have one clause, one feature such that the maturity proceeds come at the time when you originally designed it. So if you decided that the money comes to you when your child turns about, say, 20 or 21, irrespective of whether the policyholder, which is the parent, alive or not alive, the money will come to the child at that point in time. So it works like a trust that you can set up. And as I said, it's feature packed. You can buy it either on a traditional platform or the ULIP platform. So they're available on both the platforms. And it has a waiver of premium benefit inbuilt, saying that if the parent who's the insured in the policy passes away, there are no future premiums to be paid in the policy, and the policy continues for the benefit of the child. So I think that is one such product, if at all, despite the low returns that we're talking about in insurance policy. This is one such product which family can look at, but be very mindful of two things. One, there are certain plans which insure the child also, but you don't need to get into those plans. The insured person should be the earning parent,
right,
and the beneficiary should be the child.
Right.
And the second thing you have to remember is these policies, as I said, will not give you returns which beat inflation. They're low on returns.
Sure.
Whether you buy it on the ULIP platform or you buy it on the traditional platform. So they are low return policies.
Yes, we have done several shows on child plans, and they have some very interesting features, and perhaps we'll revisit that at a later date. But gentlemen, thank you very much for giving us a primer on non-term life insurance, its pros and its cons. Very helpful conversation for our viewers. With that, it's a complete wrap on this edition of Money, Money, Money. We'll see you again next week.